we are going to bring onto the show right now Professor Dr. Larry Walker. He is on the other side of the country. It's UCF, a great learning institution, and also not a bad football team.
No, and Ron would know. He loves everything football.
Yeah, for sure. Professor, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, we love having you visit with us again. You are knowledgeable on international affairs and politics, and we thought we would just kind of get your take on snapshot in time, what with the hostilities seemingly firing up, and then maybe some calming words out of Iran this morning. What's your take on where things stand right now in the war in Iran?
I think that what we've seen the last couple months is that the peace in Iran is very fragile. Obviously, you could discuss in terms of what's happened in the last several hours, between Iran and Israel, sending missiles back and forth at each other, which we've, seen in the past. But over the last couple of weeks until the ceasefire, took place in April, we haven't seen as much hostilities. We also know from reports that President Trump had to make a few phone calls and intervene, and now both countries said they're going to pull back a little bit. But also, we should add that Israel's been really clear that their hostilities as it relates to Lebanon are likely to continue.
Well, so what would you put the? I'm trying to come up with the right word here. If there was a meter on a 1 to 10 that could give us a sort of your take on where the president is on his desire to get this thing over and done with before we get even close to the November election, suffering through gas prices pushing $5 a gallon, at least out here in Phoenix. Would you say it's pretty darn high? I mean, between the three leaders of these three nations, he seems pretty highly motivated to try to wrap it up.
You highlighted a really important point, and I'm a former congressional staffer, so I can tell you, this midterm election is really critical because you said on a meter 1 to 10, I certainly put it at 9.9 in terms of him wanting to resolve this issue. I think that the challenge is, and obviously we talked about the midterms, is getting a deal done. And so, we've heard a lot, particularly the last, month or to 6 weeks about, we've had the ceasefire starting in April. Allegedly, there was an agreement. Then there are some hostilities kind of pop up. And so I think the really key issues with this is obviously the Strait in terms of will Iran continue to charge fees? And the other thing is they're going to want some reassurances that they won't be attacked by Israel in particular if they come to some kind of not just a ceasefire, but some kind of agreement. But you're absolutely right. The president wants the Republicans to hold on to the House in particular. And so in order to do that, you got to make sure, in terms of individuals, we talk about, consumers, where is consumer confidence? And so right now you talk about gas prices, you can talk about food prices, and those are all the issues that, folks care about in terms of, what they're putting in their gas tank, and also what are we having for dinner? And so those are all important questions as we move closer to November.
Mm-hmm. And as we talk about moving closer to November, well, obviously early this morning we saw the president speaking on Truth Social about the attacks, and obviously not happy with what's unfolded. As after he spoke with Netanyahu, he advised obviously them not to retaliate. But looking ahead to November, especially what's going on in L.A., we've got the all these candidates vying for that chance to become the mayor there. Is the president, do you feel, keeping a close eye on this race too?
I think in a way, yes. Certainly, as it relates to LA and California, certainly current Governor Newsom, and obviously you talk about the election, the incumbent there, former Congressman, now Mayor Bass. And so the president hasn't had the greatest relationship with the state of California as it relates to, we can talk about the wildfires not too long ago. So, yeah, I'm quite sure he's, interested in a way to find out how things play out. But I think what we have to note is that historically and, now that California and particularly the city of Los Angeles are usually solidly blue. And so I think we just saw in the last couple of hours in terms of how the numbers have shifted, that, the two top candidates or, at least, Mayor Bass is a traditional Democratic candidate. And, Pratt, in terms of his kind of, out of the nowhere campaign, doesn't look like he's going to be finishing in the top two, which I know some individuals were disappointed in.
Why do you think the voting trends go the way they do? I mean, we saw a good solid lead for Karen Bass, but on election night, we also saw, I think it was about a 30 to 35,000 vote margin for Pratt over the number 3 candidate in that race. And yet you sort of sense that some people in some circles were confident that she would be able to leapfrog him as more vote counting. Why does it happen like that?
Well, first, I think we have to acknowledge that every jurisdiction has different policies in terms of how they count ballots, right? So LA, like a lot of major cities, it takes more time. But I think the other thing is, as relates to his candidate, him being a candidate and maybe why he had some appeal. I'll remind you that the former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the big action star. So the state of California in itself has a history of kind of embracing this kind of outsider individual to bring change. And some people found his campaign appealing, but obviously it wasn't quite enough based on what we're seeing in terms of the numbers that come in the last 12 hours. But like I said, LA is like some other jurisdictions like Arizona. Sometimes you embrace these people who are outsiders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you had to put the odds right now, we got about a minute left here. If you had to put the odds, sorry, I'm doing all these numbers related questions, but if you had to put the odds of a Democratic takeover of the House and a possible Democratic takeover of the Senate, from where things stand right here in early June, what would you say?
So in terms of the House, I would say in terms of Democrats taking back the House, I'd give it 55 to 45. Obviously, we talked about some of the issues related to gerrymandering that happened in some other states that could change that. As it relates to the Senate, I think it's going to be more difficult. So I give them about a 40% chance of retaking the Senate. I think it's less likely in the Senate, in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
See, a lot of good insight there.
We should write those down and
I know.
see how good his predictions
exactly.
are.
And by the way, why is it every time we have Dr. Walker on, we go like 8 minutes and it felt like 2?
Yeah, I don't know. We got like 2 minutes left. A minute left.
Hey,
thanks very much for your time, Dr. Walker.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there he is with University of Central Florida. There.